Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Humans and Wildlife Show, which I thought I was going to run alone, but I just saw that Georgia popped in. Amazing. So I don't know if you can hear me, Georgia. I just saw it a minute ago. So that's wonderful. Anyway, this is all about group behavior, and as you can see, we have group behavior right here. So I'm going to try and get Georgia in right now. Let me see if I can do this. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, it worked. It's fantastic. It actually worked.
It's coming
Yes.
closer. And so I'm here with my cousin Leah. It's the
Okay, hi.
holidays.
Very good. That's very nice to meet you. That's great.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we're
good.
here in Texas. Hello, everyone. Texas is much farther south than I am normally, and it's so hot here. I feel like I'm with the elephants.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so hot. It's abnormal for this time of year. It's supposed to be 87 on Christmas Day in a couple days.
Yeah,
So,
87 Fahrenheit, which is like
really
high.
That's warm. Gosh, we've got it quite cold here, so that's good. And I think we have no echo at the moment, which is wonderful. That was the thing I was worried about, but that's why I'm actually wearing headphones. So it seems to be okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, let's get right to it then, to the topic. So this is really a continuation of last time, and I thought before we start and jump right into it, we got lots of interesting topics today. Let's start with, remember, Georgia, last time we were discussing the terminology for a murder of crows and so on. So I
Yeah.
got a whole list here. A few amusing ones that I just want to read out, right? Starting with geese. A gaggle of geese, but it's
yes.
an omniscience of geese, a pantheon of geese. Did you know that? No.
These are very fancy terms. I feel like someone's trying to be too
Yeah.
fancy with these terms.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then with gulls, a colony of gulls, a squabble, a flotilla scavenging a gullery of gulls. How's that?
I
And
like
then,
that.
yeah, nice. And then we come to hummingbirds, charm, glittering, shimmer, tune, a bouquet of hummingbirds. Who would think of that?
Pretty. I want a bouquet of hummingbirds.
Yeah.
That's
They're
nice.
very pretty. I have to say that I think people are getting so fancy with these, like too fancy. That's
Yeah. And then kingfishers, a concentration of kingfishers, a realm, a click, and a rattle. A rattle, that's interesting. And then owl, I think you know, right? Tell me, Georgia, what about
so we
owls?
did this last time. It was
Yeah.
a parchment, not a
Yeah.
parchment.
A parliament?
I
Yes.
have a little owl pill that your mom made me back there. Oh, yeah.
That's right. Right. We've got a parliament of owls. That's right. And then let me just make sure. Yeah, got a parliament of owls, a wisdom of owls, a study of owls, a bazaar of owls. Owls. Isn't that strange? Or a glaring of owls. That's really
Oh, that's
funny.
intimidating. The person who came up with that was like, we actually don't like owls.
Well, it gets even more curious. Parrots. A pandemonium of sorry, I can't even. Pandem of parrots, a company or a prattle of parrots. I mean, who would think of that, right? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Tongue
David,
twister.
Kristen, I have to say, I know you love birds. These
Hmm?
are all very bird-focused examples that you've given us.
Yeah, but I know that's true.
Here, I looked up some mammal ones.
Oh,
So
go.
apparently, a shrewdness of apes,
That's true.
uh, a seat of badgers. I actually don't know how you pronounce it.
CET.
A cauldron. What the heck?
A cauldron of bats. That's like
ridiculous.
Halloween.
It's like a flock. Sometimes I think some people are like just some. I don't know how commonly used some of these are. A clouder of cats. We have to get more cats now so we can call them a
I know.
clouder.
We only have one here.
Yeah, she gets in enough trouble. Yeah, whatever. A litter of dogs or puppies. A
Oh.
pack of wild dogs.
Oh, yeah. A pace of donkeys. That's interesting. Donkeys don't keep very well paced. I think they're pretty slow, I thought.
They're keeping a great pace because it's
Yes.
the
Oh,
long
that's true.
term.
That's true.
They've got the long haul.
But these are all
Oh,
positive
right.
terms, right? They're all positive.
Perhaps
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, listen to the ravens ones. A murder of ravens clear a congress, a horde. But how about this? An unkindness of ravens. I mean, who would think of that? That's horrible.
Very judgmental. Yeah, very
I mean,
judgmental.
come on.
Yeah, so the theme I'm getting from all of this is that animals group together commonly, and that's why we have all these specialized names for them. We have a comment from David Howden on YouTube who says that me and Leah are participating in the theme of the week because we're grouped together here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're grouped together for the holidays, so we're on theme. Yeah.
Very good. Well, anyway, we're inviting everyone to put their comments in. That's wonderful. So great. Well, that's good. So we got Georgia and your cousin, right? Is it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your name. Sorry,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, gosh, I've got so many things on my mind. I'm sorry, because I was panicking because I thought I'm running this alone. So okay. Well, very good. Let's jump right into this. So I just wanted to show something. As we get into the group of animals, I wanted to show you a very quick video, which I'm going to share, just to get into the mood. Because let me just get myself out of the way here. Yeah, there. Let's just get out. So, let's see. So this happened. Let me see if I can get this to run now. I hope it's. Yeah. Let me just run this off the screen here. There you go. Okay. So this is right in front of my front door, right? And this is very interesting because first of all, it's midwinter. It's quite cold here, so we got around freezing temperatures, and then the hummingbirds usually the way they behave is. They are very territorial, right? They're very territorial, so they always ensure that no one else is there. And now comes the exception, right? The exception. That's just before they go into torp, right? Which is sort of their night sleep, where they go into very low metabolic rate, and there. They seem to just for 10-15 minutes, and I observed this exactly at 4:15 at my time in the afternoon, they share. And this is, I think, a very interesting group behavior because obviously they are so focused at that moment on getting their food or so that they allow that. But next morning, the whole terror will start again. It's only one and terrorizing the others. So I just thought that's a good start because it's something you can absorb, watch right at your front door. Okay. So I'm just going to stop that one. And then
an important point, which is that the grouping behavior of animals can change throughout the year, so it's not necessarily consistent, right? Like a lot of times the animals are all like off on their own for a lot of the year, and then like in the winter or something, like these hummingbirds were in the winter, right? Then they're like, we're not gonna be as territorial now. We'll like hang out together.
Interesting.
That's right. So let's go. So I actually found in the literature that Georgia gave me, which is very interesting. It was a literature review, some very interesting examples, which we're going to jump into now. So I just have to see if I can get us a little bit smaller here. Yeah, that's it. We got that. So we're going to start here at the bacterial level, which is very interesting. So these are so-called slime molds. For those of you who've never heard what slime molds are, well, they're sort of like amoeba, very small cells. They're definitely single cells. They have a cell wall, and they also have a nucleus. So they are, what is it, classified as? One second, let me just check my notes very quickly. Yes, they are oh, come on, I get this word right. Eukaryotic, right? That's it. Eukaryotic. Yeah. Thank you.
And Georgia. We're eukaryotic too.
Yes, we are eukaryotic. Right? Yes, yeah. Exactly.
You and I are eukaryotes. That's how I remember.
That's how you know.
Yeah, that's how you create a mental trick. Anyways.
Exactly. So animals are eukaryotic. That's probably the way you say it. So anyway, what's interesting about this is that these cells with a very simple mechanism live together in a group, and they live in a very synchronous way, in a very structural way. So what you see here is a Petri dish, and it's very interesting because they work together, right? And the way these cells move is very interesting. So they have some calcium inside the cell, but it sort of pulsates and they sort of move in waves. It looks very complex, and they slowly move forward, and they seem to move in random directions, but they are holding together as a slime. And what is interesting is once they hit food, for example, oat or so, they send out a certain chemical, and this chemical is called, now let me get this right, it's a molecule, it's a cyclic uh, adenosine monophosphate, and by excreting this, this signal, that alarms the next cell, and they all start aligning themselves and arranging themselves to make the possible shortest way to the food source. And that's absolutely fascinating because it's completely decentralized the way they behave. It's nothing. There's nobody who's taking the lead. It's a perfect intelligent organization, and they're so smart that they can solve mazes. They've tested them in mazes, and this is actually quite recent where they found out all these things. You're talking about the last years again, and what they did was absolutely fascinating. They didn't just put oatmeals like that in a petri dish. They restructured the structure of Tokyo, right? So they had the center of Tokyo and all the outskirts, and then they said, well, let's see how would these slime molds do in building roads or transport system. And what's absolutely fascinating is that the structure that they then built in the petri dish looks very much like the Tokyo subway system. It's just fascinating. So they found the shortest route and the most economical route in just a very short time. So it shows that even though these single cells seem to have no brain or anything, as an organization, they can, as a group, they are very effective. So I just thought it was interesting.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And like one of the things, this was mentioned in the paper, the review paper that you talked about that I sent you. But so like one of the things the paper is talking about though is variation in sociality. So like humans are clearly a social animal, but like within humans, there's differences in how social you versus I versus there's like within species variation. And so one of the things they talked about in this review paper is that even in slime molds, there's variation within the species about like how social they are. So maybe some of them are like, I don't know, hang out. It's weird because I don't really understand. I'm like, what is the unit of an individual in a slime mold? I actually don't know. I don't understand mold well enough to know. But yeah, it was like, stuff is crazy for me to think about. And the review paper we keep referencing, by the way, is called Sociability as a Personality Trait in Animals, Methods, Causes, and Consequences. The lead author is Lizzie Gartland, and it came out this month, December 2021. So check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, that's very good. If you can put the link into the chat, I don't know if you can do that,
yes.
Georgia. That would be great. But that's great. So anyway, so we started here at the microscopic level. That was so fascinating, the paper that Georgia was mentioning there. I was really learning a lot. So let's jump to the next very curious ones.
They're so cute.
Yeah, here we go to the meerkats. And the meerkats are often, they are so cute because, well, we associate ourselves with them because they seem to behave very similar to us. Do you want to comment on that, or Georgia, or do you want, because I can?
Yeah, do you see a meerkat and you identify with
I know,
it?
right?
You're like, look at its big eyes.
Their big eyes are so and they're very attentive too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can like tell what they're thinking, right? Like when they look or they cock their head, you're like, oh, the meerkat is curious, or the meerkat is like scared. Yeah. You like
they're expressive.
Tell. Yeah.
So anyway, that's exactly right. So the meerkat seldom lives on its own. They don't do very well, but they live very well as a group. And they are very sociable animals. They usually group together in 40, and there's usually a dominant female and a dominant male that run the whole clan. And
there's usually a couple. Do you know? Is it like the meerkat power couple?
That's right. That's the way it seems to be. And also, what's interesting is they raise their offspring together. That's really fascinating. That's very smart. So that's really unusual. And also, of course, they are very good in a group to fight against predators such as cobras or other. So that makes them very strong, and they also seem to divide some responsibility, although it's not even. It's not like we think, I'm doing this, so you do that. Some meerkats do more and others do less. It's probably the same as in human society.
Yeah, so this is interesting because last week and this week we've talked a lot about like predator defense. One reason
Ooh.
to be in a group, definitely a reason the meerkats are in a group. But yeah, another benefit is this like collective raising of offspring. Like sometimes it's just
Interesting.
more efficient, you know what I mean? To
Like a
be like,
family.
well, yeah, like all you guys kind of group together. And this has actually been proposed in some animals as a reason why it's like evolutionarily advantageous to have like some proportion of the population be gay or something, because like then they're like not having their own kids, they're just like helping raise the kids that are there. And so like it's like
Oh.
still, I don't know, this has been tested in humans and like not really shown to be like humans, there's not like that bit much of an advantage of like a person like raising others offsprings from just like an evolutionary context. But
Interesting.
anyway, so yeah, there's and I think blue jays do this as well. Sometimes there's a special version of it that's called like, maybe you know, Christian, it's like kin or like sibling raising.
Right.
It's like when the siblings
Yes.
stick around for a few years
Mhm.
before going and having their own kids, and
Whoa.
they take care of like the next couple of generations.
Whoa.
And then it's often sort of like depends on environmental conditions. Like if the environmental conditions are really bad and crappy and it's like hard to have kids, then like the like baby blue jays of the previous year are like, I'm not gonna go, I'm just gonna hang out with mom and dad for another year, and I'll like look after my like little brothers and sisters. But then like maybe if it's like a really good year, then they're like, no, I'm gonna leave. Yeah. So
It's just funny. I'm reading a comment here from Gentleman Ghost. He said, "Funky thing." No, wait. Sorry, that wasn't it. They should make meerkat sunglass style. Yes, because
Oh yeah, I would love that. I would buy those.
yeah, we
yes.
have a comment from Susan North
Yeah.
on YouTube. Yes, the community raises the young. There was a PBS series on meerkats. Ooh.
That's
I love
incredible.
that.
I'd love to see that, Susan. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, Gentleman Ghost, we'll get to the penguins in a moment because you're absolutely right. That's another good example. So let's jump to the next one, and that's the dolphins. So this is also interesting, right? So dolphins obviously are also very, very organized in families, but what is interesting is they are stable in a family, but they are not, they also are dynamic. So it means as soon as their offsprings are raised, their group behavior can completely change. So it's quite complex, actually. It's not just one single behavior, but it depends a lot on whether they have offsprings or not. And then, of course, they stick with the offsprings. But as soon as the offsprings are big enough to, to go off on their own, the group dynamics can completely change. Found that interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and dolphins do a lot of things. They like hunt together for one, right?
That's
so
it.
we learned about if you're being hunted, why it's good to be in a group. But if you're the hunters, it can also be good to be in a group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Kind of like lions or something.
Yeah.
Good. And then, well, to the famous one, of course. I mean,
Yes.
the wolves. The wolves, of course, are very interesting. I mean, I saw wolves in Alaska. Every time I go to Alaska, I see wolves. It's quite interesting. So, I mean, of course, they behave very similar to dogs. I have to tell you of a little incident how smart wolves are. That nearly got me, right? You have to really pay attention.
What do you mean they nearly hunted?
Yeah, they nearly got you.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Is this what life is like in Canada?
Yeah, it's my front door, sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's not. No, it wasn't that bad. It was my stupidity, really. I mean, that's what it boils down to, right? So I saw this beautiful wolf, and it was in a park, right? And there were two fences. I have to explain. Then you'll say, well, why did you do that? Exactly. Yeah. So I climb, of course, over the first fence to get to the second fence because I didn't want the fence in the way, and I had this huge camera. And the wolf was so you shouldn't do that anyway. Well, there was nobody there, so I thought, well, this is all going to be fine, right? So
there's no one to save you when you're on the wrong side of the fence.
Exactly, that was the anchorage. So I stick my large lens there through, and the wolf is just. And there was a second wolf, and then suddenly the second wolf disappeared, and I thought, gosh, beautiful portrait, and I was concentrating, and then just out of the corner of my eye. I saw that the wolf in front of me was always staring straight at me. The other one flanked me and was running from the side full speed at me. And in the last moment, I pulled my camera. He would have had my arm and everything. Oh my God.
Gosh.
And it was so smart. It was so smart the way they came around like this because he saw what I was doing. Oh my goodness! That gave me an insight, into these movies that you see. This
Yeah.
stuff they are really smart. Okay, so
Wait, that's not the story of getting this picture though. That's a different.
that's no. That was.
Oh my gosh.
That was the Happy Wolves after. No, that's not. So no, in general, of course, wolves are in a pack. You always have an alpha female and an alpha male. And what's interesting again, their behavior can change completely when the alpha male or alpha female dies. They can. The whole pack can break up and so on. So it very much depends on again on the leader there. So it's so different the way animals behave, right?
So the pack would break up rather than a new alpha male come
Yes.
in?
I think sometimes it depends. Yeah, it depends.
Sometimes, yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, because I remember there's some book that's just about like some pack of wolves in Yellowstone.
Wait,
and like,
yes, my dad loves this book. I
oh
feel
my
like this
God.
is a family
It's called like Wolf like 426 or
Yes.
something. But like basically like whatever alpha wolf is in charge, like that wolf kind of like sets the style of governance for the pack. If you
Okay.
think about it, like
Right.
right, like how are they gonna like punish other wolves and like stuff like that. And so like it's like when one leader dies, it's almost like, oh, like our like democratic
right.
system of
Right.
the pack died, and maybe now we're gonna have some other
That
kind of
makes
like
sense.
I don't know, enforcement system. And so
Right.
like I think if maybe there's like another wolf to take over who like
Would know.
would be a good leader, then
Yeah.
the pack could stay together. But sometimes there's
That makes
not.
sense.
I don't know.
That makes sense. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Wow, so amazing.
Wow, incredible. Yeah, and then we come to Gentleman Ghost's topic of penguins, of course. I mean, that's a big topic, and they're, part of the group behavior is, of course, when it's very cold and they have these strong Arctic storms, right? Antarctic storms. And then, of course, they need to protect each other, and that's what they do. They're very smart in the way they do it. So they hold together.
I've seen like those videos where like it's like a big cluster of penguins, right? And like they're all like together, and their backs are all to like the outside cold, but they are always sort of like shuffling and moving a little. And apparently it kind of rotates, right? So like it's like no penguin is like on the outside all the time. Like the ones on the outside kind of gradually go in, and then the ones on the inside kind of like end up going outside because it's warmer in the center, right? Yeah,
I've heard about that too. I actually knew that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
We're getting a comment here.
Go ahead.
We have a couple comments. Yeah,
Go.
we should look. You want to look at Facebook comments?
Absolutely.
David Howden says social Hymenoptera shows some really interesting group behaviors too. Yes, we skipped over invertebrates. We went straight from slime molds to birds and mammals, which shows where me and Christian's brains are at. But yeah, David Howden is like a very sort of prolific amateur entomologist who studies insects and does live streaming on insects. And yeah, he's called us out on our lack of insect aggregation.
These people are talking about wolves mostly.
Yeah, a lot of people on Facebook
For safety and
into
family.
wolves. Yeah.
Protection of family.
Yeah, people are really into this idea of like the pack. A lot of dog people too, I'm sure. They're like, yes. Yeah.
The pack.
So we enjoy seeing your comments and stuff. Yeah.
Want to read some more comments?
Yeah, so Sooner or Latter says, very intelligent are wolves. Think about a cow herding dog. The same intelligence runs first in the wolf's blood DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And also happy holidays. Yeah, happy holidays to you, Sooner. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Yeah, when you have like a sheep herding or cow herding dog, like that's like what the wolf is doing to its prey, but like minus the last step of like killing them, kind of, maybe. Although I guess maybe wolves are also trying to isolate an individual rather than keep it together. But you can still see how like the behavior is kind of like similar, but like modified a little bit. Yeah, it's super intelligent.
Okay, then we get into chimpanzees, of course. I mean, and again, a lot of family behavior. I certainly am not a chimpanzee expert, but they stick together on a very high level in groups, and are very good at observing for predators and so on. That's their strong behavior, and also they will defend themselves in groups. It's quite remarkable, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet they have like a lot of times when we talk about like group defense, there's often an alarm call, right? That's like in birds, it's just like usually a high like beep beep, and I bet like monkeys have one kind of like.
Right.
I don't know. That's my monkey impression. But like, if you think about that, that's really beneficial because that helps not just your group, but like all these other species too. Like if you're a little, like that's like across different species of birds, their alarm call is very similar. Like they all have very different mating calls because you want to attract the same mate. But then like your alarm call is kind of like for everyone. It's like hawk, all small birds, hawk alert. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like and grooming.
Grooming, isn't that beautiful? I just think it's fantastic. It's just remarkable, you know, that they have this instinct, you know, and you can see they're mostly very friendly. And there is an example also from the paper that Georgia gave. Did you manage to put in the link, by the way, of the paper?
No, I didn't.
That's okay. We'll put it in. Right, well, this I found fascinating. I didn't know that. So how does aggressive behavior go down with groups? And the answer is it doesn't go well at all, because it doesn't go well with humans either. You know, an aggressive person isn't really accepted by the group. What I found so interesting, they're completely cuckoo, berserk, crazy water striders. I didn't know that. So, and there are some males. They are so aggressive. They attack everything. They try and mate with a male, with a female, whatever they find, with a leaf. I don't care. Whatever. You know, they're so super cuckoo, and they have such aggressive behavior that they are also outcast, actually. So you see that at the water strider level already. You know. So this is a good behavior. Here you see a very gentle male with a gentle female. You know, that's usually
so.
Well, that's what I read in the caption. Yeah, if I say so, you're right. I don't really know, right?
So basically, wait. So I'm like a little confused. So the water striders, they're in like kind of a group. I guess I never really thought about it before. But if I look in the water, they are usually a lot of in one area.
They are, yes, correct.
And they like kind of like kick the aggressive one like out of the group.
Yeah, that's because there seems to be one. I haven't studied this. I would love to study this. I'll take a look. But there seem to be always these outliers, and you get these super aggressive ones, and they get really unpopular there. I don't exactly know how they deal with that, but they try and stay away from them, of course. Right? Yeah. Nice. Incredible, huh?
Right. See, we did get an insect example in there. After
there you go, David. That's for you. That's and very very fascinating, by the way. So it would. Gosh, every single one of these topics is fascinating. Well, then we jump into more the symbiotic behavior, which is really interesting. So now we're going to the iguans, of course, and something I didn't know. And we just saw the monkey grooming. Well, this is also grooming. This is beautiful grooming example, because there are a lot of fungi and bacteria and so on that grow on their backs and so on. And you have the crabs. They take care of this, right? So it's quite smart, really. So,
and so this is like getting into sort of more of like cross-species,
exactly,
mutualism, like mutually beneficial relationships. But like there's another group component of this is often, I know some other species of crab, and many birds too, they use social aggregations as like a cue for feeding. So like, I don't know if you've ever put out a bird feeder and like no birds come forever and ever, and then finally one bird comes, and as soon as there's like one bird and the others see it, they're like, whoa, there's food over there. So like a lot of animals, including some crabs and birds, they use like other animals feeding as like they do like social aggregations for feeding. And I don't know if that's necessarily beneficial, or it's just them like using it at, like picking up on it. They're like, that person is eating. I want what they're having.
Yeah.
Right. And let's get another example. I found this very interesting also from some marine biologists picked this up. There must be also, again, all these things are fairly new. We're talking about a sunfish. I forgot to put a picture of a sunfish. A sunfish is probably the biggest bonefish that you can find, weighing about 2.5 tons. It's incredible. So it's a huge fish, really. A huge fish. And it can swim quite deep. And what's fascinating about this is that they found that these sunfish also seem to have a lot of fungi or yeah, all kinds of growth on them. And in this case, the albatross actually is coming and picking on there where the arrows are pointing. They found that the albatross are feeding from these gigantic sunfish. So they come up to sort of get cleaned from the albatross, and then they go down again. I mean, this is just amazing stuff, you know. I mean, there's so little we know, right? This has all been discovered quite recently. It's all papers from 2015 onwards, right? So
Yeah. This is nuts. If I were those fish, I wouldn't want to be getting close to those birds.
Yeah.
well, this
I
is
know
a
that
big fish, you know, it's a 2-3
Yeah.
tons, right? I mean, this
still,
is
their beaks look sharp. Like,
yeah. Well, you're right, but they're very sharp, but obviously they're fine, right? You know, it's just amazing.
That's fascinating.
And then, of course, we come to the famous one. This is really beautiful. So, in Serengeti, so Tanzania, Kenya, that's what we're talking about here. You have these incredible migrations of the zebras and also the gnus, the wildebeest. And you have that in South Africa. I've seen it in the Kruger Park. And what's interesting is that the zebras always stick with the gnus. And I think, if I remember correctly, I must just look at my notes here. Yes, the wildebeest have a better sense of hearing, while the zebras can see very well. So they have that's right. The wildebeest have a very poor seeing. So they seem to work very well together because the one is complementing the other. And also, what's interesting is as far as feeding is concerned, they feed on different types of grass. So they're very complementary, and they do these migrations together. Right. Fascinating, isn't it?
that's cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's so many interesting
tail
things.
side is
Oh, yeah, I guess.
No, yeah, I
Stretching
think
out.
we talked last time a little bit how like some birds when they migrate too, they form like flocks of different species migrating together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, that's quite interesting. And then finally, again, we go back to the insect world. That's the final example, and I'm sure there's so many more. Well, this one surprised me too. So there's a certain butterfly. This is from England, by the way, David Houghton. This is from England, together with a meadow ant, and they fooled the meadow ant. Let me just look at my notes that I get this correct here. They seem to, I don't know where my notes are, but I still remember this. So what they do is they have these caterpillars, those are from the butterflies. They are mistaken by the ants for larvae, and they take them in. They take them into the hive then, and these caterpillars exhibit a parasitic behavior, so they start feeding on the larvae. So it's actually crazy, isn't it? So they start feeding on the larvae until they grow up and and they turn into caterpillars one day, and that's another very interesting parasitic behavior, right? It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's at least my complete list. I know it's not a long list, but I thought these examples were crazy. So
Yeah.
anyway, so
No, it's a lot of different types of examples. And maybe just to recap, right? So we had like animals aggregating to better survive winter, migration, to hunt better, to avoid being hunted better. What else? To groom. Yeah. And I guess maybe an artifact like sort of regulating like aggressive behavior, right? Like I don't know if that really counts as its own thing or not, but yeah, like a ton of different reasons to be social. But there are also some costs of being social, which we didn't talk about too much. But so like in that paper, I think they talked about like some of the, for example, like I know in marmots that being more social can be actually associated with being more likely to get preyed upon. I think, and I don't know if it's
weakness,
like,
maybe?
yeah, I should have looked more into this. I'm not sure if it's like that they're like being like, they're just like partying it up and they're like distracted or something,
right.
or like, or also like, you know, when you're being social as part of a group, you are giving like your time and energy sort of to others. And so if you're not getting as much like time and energy back, it might not be like beneficial for you. I don't know.
Let's just go through some of the comments here, because I can see here on Facebook. So please put in your comments anything. Lucia Bell says, we had blue jays flopping around on the side of our embankment. So I did a closer inspection and found an ant colony that was spraying the birds. Absolutely fascinating. So I marked off the area so no one would step on the ants. That's incredible.
Oh wow, that is
Whoa.
crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
there we go.
And then Eric Kuhn
Mhm.
says white-tailed deer have an alarm call as well. So yeah,
Oh.
like a call to alert the group. Very cool examples. So
And on YouTube, let's see what we have
I
here.
think we don't have, and it's also the holidays, so I think it would be perfectly fine to end a little bit
Earlier,
early.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, David Howden just said here, finally, he said they emit sounds and smells to confuse the ants. Yeah, weirdly, a parasitic wasp can detect the ant nests with a caterpillar and go to the parasites. Go to parasite the caterpillar. Not know how. That's very interesting. Thank you very much.
This is very crazy stuff.
Well, this is good. Yeah, well, that's fine. I think let's call it a day on that. And so I think that
Yeah,
was
we're hoping to
interesting.
have maybe not next week, but like
The
at
week
some
after.
point
Yeah.
a follow-up that focuses a little bit more on sociality in
Mhm.
humans specifically. Now that we've
Oh.
talked about it in like all these different types of animals and stuff. So
That's so
Right.
cool.
So we'll skip next week because that's right in between. That's in between the
That's-
holidays. So
yeah,
we'll start again early January, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
See you all in the new year, the next year.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful New Year. And I'm still going to post a lot of good, interesting videos. So hold your breath. They're coming. Okay, in the next days. Okay. On that note, thank you and happy holidays. Merry Christmas.